Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special experience exchange episode. It's a little bit different, but I am so excited. I am going to introduce our guest today, Jose. Hello.
Hello, my name is Jose Martinez. Thank you for having me here on this very strange and special request that I have for you. I'm a UC student at UC Merced. Yeah.
The children are our future. I'm happy to support.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God, so special. I am here today to present my history class capstone project. So once again, I'm from UC Merced. I am a fifth year, actually.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Ooh, super senior. Oh my God.
What are you studying?
So my current major is in the humanities, history, actually. I have been, history is something for me that is very intriguing. I feel like the saying that if people don't learn the history of the past, we're just doomed to repeat it, right, is so very true, right? It's just history has been something that's always been growing up, people are just like, oh, history, right, whatever. But for me, and then it was true, right? Elementary school, right? It's just the same kind of stories over and over again, right? The missions, right? You know, it's always fun and everything, but I mean, right, it's after a bit it just gets kind of stale. And so in high school, actually my junior year in high school, my teacher there, he was the one who actually got me more interested in history. He was very animated. He he was just fun in general, just to kind of be around. That's when I realized history's kind of cool, right? He made it fun and everything. And then in my when I went to the community college here in Merced, that's when that professor, oh my God, he was very much kind of opened my eyes. This history is oh my God, amazing. Yeah. So currently, I do not focus on any one region and specifically. I'm just kind of more of a broad reach. I have done history for North America, Europe, the Middle East. If I have to specialize in one, probably the Asian continents, cool. Korea, Japan, China, because I've taken history classes from all three of those countries, the history. So I've done Korean folklore, right? So I've probably say that's my area of expertise, kind of. But other than that, just here to present my capstone, and the capstone is for UC Merced. I assume for every other university and college out there, capstone is the major, your major's very big class. This is something that you have to pass in order to graduate.
It's a final project to show mastery, correct?
Oh, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And that's very funny you say that because this year is actually a revamped version of the capstone. So every 5 years at the UC, the department head of whatever major meets with the chancellor and the director. And what they do is they kind of get together, just kind of discuss the state of the major, just to see how things are going and things like that. It was very funny because when the previous class, it was actually another a paper class. So you had to it was
your standard essay.
The 20 to 30 page research, right? It was funny because they were explaining, this is the current state, this is what we do. The prerequisite class, which is what the class you need to take before you take the capstone, it was another research class, an R class, right? It was a designated R class. And so when the chancellor was listening to this, he was just what's the point of having two research classes back to back? Why don't they just present what they did on their R class, right? And the department head, he was just kind of that's a good idea. That's a great idea. And so now this semester, this is the first time we're doing this kind of format.
Wow.
So our goal at the end of the semester is that the history capstone class has to do a conference. So we have to hold our own conference at the end of the year that presents our research. And one of the requirements in the class is to do what I'm doing today, which is an alternative presentation to our capstone. So that alternative presentation can be anything from a podcast or to say a comic strip where someone can like make like a comic book or something like that, or like a video, like no more YouTube video, right? And I chose to have a podcast. And again, thank you very much for having me here, because oh my god.
So our mutual friend is Vanna, who was on Experience Exchange. She was like one of our first guests, the Panhellenic polytheist. So yeah, definitely check out Vanna's episode if you haven't. And then I'm so excited. I mean, I'm a big nerd. I went to college myself. I was actually waitlisted for a PhD, fun fact about me, but I was number 8 and they only had 6 spots. So if 2 people had decided, no, I'm gonna go somewhere else, I would have done it. But honestly, it's fine. Life works out how it needs to.
It's strange. It's strange how things just kind of go, huh?
Yeah. But I'm very excited, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the astrology associations with your project. So right now we have Uranus, which is the planet of innovation, making things more efficient, also just going against the grain in Gemini. Gemini is a sign ruled by Mercury. It is also about communication and higher education. So we have astrology in the macro and the micro. In the macro, it's what we're seeing like worldwide, all of us. So with Uranus and Gemini, we're seeing the rise of like AI, which is like disruptive communication, or maybe making communication more efficient. But I mean, we have misinformation, so maybe less efficient, but it's definitely disrupting the field of communication.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And then in the micro climate of UC Merced, we're having this revamp of how you all can present. It's no longer the standard paper that has been happening for like ever. I love to see it. I love to see like astrology in real time in microclimates.
Oh yeah, let me tell you, AI. It's every single class has some sort of clause on like AI and like AI use in general. The general consensus is that like you can use it as a tool to help. Like you can ask it like, hey, how to like help with like grammar and things like that, which is like, fine, right? The standard way to like kind of use a tool, right? The thing that professors, and we actually had a professor who like brought in like papers that like were written in complete AI, structurally and like in just how they sounded was great. They sounded intelligent,
like at first glance.
Yeah, like it was great. Like the grammar was fine and everything too. The problem was that it just was very much like this, that, like facts, right? There wasn't anything like, when you write a paper, there's always like a little bit of you in a paper, right?
Yeah.
There was nothing of that. It was very much just like very robotic, very much like they use very big words that the professor was like, I know this person, they don't speak like that.
Their vocabulary isn't that advanced.
No, absolutely. So it's just kind of like, oops. It's kind of like with a conference, right? Like there's no use for AI. Like we can probably use it for helping write us like the speech or like our talking points, but after that, like it's just like, no, you got your research, like your research is like your main talking points. So oh man.
Well, you definitely can't use AI on a podcast unless it's just an AI podcast, but that's not what we're doing. So I'm very excited because I know you spent a lot of time researching your topic. So I would love to jump in. So what is your capstone on?
So the capstone, the topic of my capstone is actually very different from my other classmates. My classmates, all of them had a similar topic that had to deal with like race, segregation, keeping the status quo. Like an example was someone was comparing like the 1940s Operation Wetback, comparing to like the current like political situation with like the deportations and like ICE and all like the scary stuff that's kind of going on with that right now. A lot of theirs was like a lot of the political side of that. Mine is very different. I focused my research on Sequoia Kings Canyon National Park, specifically about like the implementation of like guest anemones, right? Kind of like having more languages available to like foreign guests, having the ability to have like disabled people enjoy the park in general, and just kind of keeping the park like as healthy as possible. Because I was like, the years went on, right? My research, the dates was based from like the 30s to about like the 80s. Even like I even saw papers as early as like 1918
Oh, wow.
And even as early as back then, there was like concerns of like overpopulation in the park, like people just kind of coming in and destroying like the natural beauty of the park. And it was just kind of as like I kind of like went through like the research papers and everything like that. I just kind of like there's a bit of a theme here. So I kind of went with that, focused in on like, okay, let's try to see guest anemones, right? See how the park kept, like how the people in the park like kept the park healthy. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I focused on, which is, again, vastly different from, like, race.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a way, it is very, like, DEI forward because we're doing accessibility, both, like, language justice, but also, like, disability justice with making sure that everyone can visit the park. And that is really, like, a big theme of the park's birth chart. So, the park was founded September 25th, 1890, and I looked up the birth chart for that, and it is a Libra sun and an Aquarius moon. So the sun is sort of like your ego, your essence, your purpose. In Libra is about partnership, balance, and being social, and it's an air sign. Air signs are definitely about communication and being social. And then the moon is in Aquarius. Even though you hear like aqua, it's actually not a water sign. It's an air sign. But Aquarius is very similar to Uranus, where it's like the innovator, the disruptor. And then the moon is about feeling safe and also just experience of emotions. And then you have this grand, what's called air trine. So there are all of these elements in different air signs that are working harmoniously. So you have Jupiter in Aquarius. So you have this like innovative spirit of the park, and then we already mentioned the sun in Libra, but we also have Mercury in Libra, which is why I feel like there might be this essence or this drive for like, let's include as many people as possible in the materials. And then we also have Neptune and Pluto in Gemini, which is just a constant evolution of like, are we meeting the standards? Is this the best park it could be? So this national park definitely wants to be visited and wants to be like a social experience for everybody. So I love that. That's the energy that we're bringing with like this park, or this is what the base energy of the park. So
oh my God, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. That's very interesting to just kind of like see that the park. Yeah, it's true. Like the park wants to be visited. That's just, and then just the hardworking people that are there keep making sure that we're open. Come visit us, right? Like Yeah, and it's in the Central Valley. The closest city is Visalia. So yeah, it's just a local and national treasure. So I'm excited to hear about all of the wonderful things that you researched and how it became more inclusive. Oh yeah, like I kind of want to start off with kind of how we did our research at the research class that we had. It was kind of like in a big conference room, like one of the big like oval shapes with like the big like circular desk in there, because it was like a class of 30 of us. And in like a corner there was like a cart with like these boxes here. There was like maybe 40 or so of these boxes on a cart, and the professor was like, okay, these documents are real. We need you to be very careful with
Not
them.
AI.
No, yes. Then we are digitally uploading them though, so maybe. And so in these boxes, right, you have like these different like folders in there, and again, they're very peculiar about like how you handle the folders, right? Like you can't just like pick it up and then like put it in whatever. No, like we have to have this like little divider here, and we have to like make sure you put it back in front of the divider and make sure it's like sits comfortably, right? Like all the papers are in there. And the scary part was the professor was like, okay, now actually handling the documents, you actually need to like hold it from like below, right? And then pick it up like fully, and then like you're flipping over like your whole hand, because these papers are thin, like ghostly thin. It's I forget the exact material that he said, but it's like thinner than like the tissue paper that you'd use for like to put in like presents and stuff. It's thinner than that.
Oh my god! Did y'all have to wear gloves? Like at this point, bust out the white gloves.
No, we actually did have to. We sanitized our hands beforehand, and on the desk there was like a big like piece of like cardboard paper that we had. That was like our work area. Like we had to work there, and one of the restrictions was no water, like no sort of like liquids, anything at all. Your laptops have to be like on a far corner, like away from like your work material. No pencils at all because of like all the graphite that can like rub off. So pens only. And it was just kind of like,
yeah,
like if like
high
it's like
stakes.
Oh yeah. And it's kind of funny too because like the way that we got the archives. Like UC Merced, when it was first being built, I forget who was it brought it up, but someone brought up the fact that like, hey, shouldn't we have like an archive room, like just in case like we get like materials from like some place or something like that. And whoever was building at the time was like, no, who needs an archive room? And then oopsies, the forest caught fire.
Oh
like
my
you know how a couple of years ago there was like that big fire like near like Sequoia Canyon and things like that, right? So like here there's actually a picture like in the library like showing that the efforts that like that we had to like the Sequoia Kings Canyon was like, hey, we have nowhere to put like this material like to the UC, right? Like, can you please take them and like keep them with you? And so with the UC was like, yeah, sure. And then where are we gonna put it?
Yeah. Oh man.
So we just kind of have it stored in like a different conference room in like the library. So it's just kind of like, hey, it would be a great idea if we had an actual dedicated room, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't.
We learned makeshift.
Oh yeah,
Improvise, adapt, improvise, overcome.
Oh yeah, and it was actually we had that for a couple of years, and then it was like when my research class, we were the first ones to actually handle and use that material for an actual course. So that was very, very interesting to just kind of have with us, just kind of like have actual real life material. Like, yeah, we have like the online archives of like, like, oh, if we want to look up old newspapers, yeah, we can look that up easily. But like it's a different feeling when you actually have the material in your hands, you're looking at it. Like the first month was just every one of it just going like, oh my God. Right? Like, yeah. Well, at least me.
They're like almost artifacts.
Oh yeah, they are artifacts.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said, the earliest one that I found was like from 1918.
Wow.
So that like, and just seeing that was just kind of like, wow, like actual history right there in your hands.
Yes.
And it kind of like, it was kind of a shame that we didn't have this here. So this here is actually a new addition to the archives. This was it's a big photo binder of actual like photos of like whatever the park was working on at the time. There was about, I want to say, I was given 5 materials because I recently went last month to take photos of the archives that I worked with to kind of use again in my conference. And I have to give a huge shout out to like the library staff at the UC, specifically Carol Wilson. They went above and beyond. Like I got into contact with them. And I told them, oh yeah, my research is about like, park safety improvements and things like that. And they were like, oh, okay, I can help you out with that. And then, I go with the day of, and then they roll out 5 of these like big binders full of just photos. And they're like, oh yeah, so, I went through like our documents, and these were some that I think would be interesting to you. I'm just like, thank you.
Oh yeah, we love our librarians. Like, they are public servants, local treasures. If you don't have a library card, your local library is impacted by the amount of people in your community that have a library card. So even if you're not going to use it, just go get one so that your libraries can be open. University libraries are different, but like all librarians are angels, because yeah, you'll be like, I want this very niche subject. Like, can you help me find materials? And they will.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They have like a great like memory of just like, I know exactly what it's over here. I'm like, oh my God, thank you.
Yes. So now I'm so excited to dive into the nitty gritty of your research. But first, we're going to take a little ad break and we will come back right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by us, Kythera Collective. If you've been vibing with the energy of the show, then you're going to love the Kythera Club over on Patreon. It's a space that I built for the cosmic, the curious, and the slightly chaotic. You know who you are. With 3 delicious tiers to choose from, we start with the chocolate level at $4 a month, which gains you access to weekly horoscopes and the exclusive Unhinged podcast, where I say things that don't make it to this main feed. It's sweet, it's spicy, and it's just for you. Next, we have the cafe level at $7 a month. This is where things really start to get cooking. You'll receive access to exclusive workshops, monthly virtual hangouts, and a private Discord community where you can chat directly with me and receive exclusive behind the scenes updates. It's magical, cozy, and a little unhinged in the best way. Finally, we have the tequila level. This is the VIP lounge. At $25 a month, you'll receive everything from the previous tiers, plus a personal 15-minute one-on-one session with myself or David each month, and discounts if you want to extend the session. It's a whole vibe and a powerful way to receive personalized guidance. So if you've been laughing along with us, crying or rage screaming in agreement, come hang out with us at the Kythera Club. Head over to patreon.com/JenCalo and choose your tier. If you want to sponsor an episode and advertise with us, go to our website, www.jencalo.com. All right, now back to the show. Welcome back, everybody. So yes, I will hand over the floor to you. Please educate me on the national park.
All right, well, I can't educate you on the entire park, but I can at least educate you on a little bit of like the stuff that they kind of went through in order to kind of, improve things like that. One of the things that, like I said, was just kind of, it immediately started popping out was there was a lot of documents in the folders I was looking at that was just talking about like, oh yeah, this over here was broken, we need to fix that. That over here, like we need budget to fix like this building. And that's why I just kind of like focused in like, I need to find more of these because I know I saw like in different boxes like this kind of like topic here and there scattered. I think in total, my research was covered, I think, 4 different boxes, I want to say, and varying documents of different sizes. I'll start off with, I guess, just talking about just how the park just tried to like ensure no serious accidents, which is kind of like was going to happen, right? One of the surveys that they did was in like 1931. It was just like concerning like the construction of like a new telephone pole over in like somewhere in like Kern Canyon in Sequoia National Park. The document was about like an old telephone line that just like needed to be replaced. It was just like described in like a wretched condition in like the document itself. And I'm just like, if like, back then, like they're describing something in a wretched condition, like, oh my God.
It was bad.
Oh yeah. The line was mainly used as like for administrative purposes, mostly for fire control during like the summer and things like that. But it did see as time went on like a general like commercial or like just in general like audience use just to have like the pole like needed to be replaced, right? Like you would want like of something that's like fire safety too in a national park, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the old redwoods, like they're old, so big. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was just like concerns like the bushfires and things like that. So at the end of the day, like, they were just like, we need to set aside like maybe $3,000 just to kind of like cover the new phone lines. My favorite one was a document concerning a checking kiosk in like Ash Mountain. Their plans was to build like a new building with like just like updated like frame, like roof, things like that, because they needed to replace the old structure. The old structure was a temporary kiosk, just to be like, oh, we'll get to it eventually, like within like the year or so. The original was built in like 1926, and it was still standing like 1931.
Wow.
But they were describing it as like unsightly, and it was like falling apart. Like a check-in kiosk, right? And you're just like, again, like, oh my god. Like the park at that time was like seeing almost 125,000 visitors.
That's really good.
Oh yeah,
for the 30s.
Yeah.
Or when was this?
This is 1931. Like, you know,
Yeah.
right a little bit before. I think right when the Depression was hitting.
Wow.
So, you know, to still see 125,000 in like the Depression era was just, man.
Well, nature is free. I know that there's like a small entrance fee to get to national parks, but yeah, like it's one of the few free things we can do is like go out in nature. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
One of the oh man, speaking of nature, right? There was a number of documents just concerning about like the amount of travel that like specific the amount of specific areas was like increasing and just like people were just like coming like from everywhere, right? There was concerns of like how do you say, more telephone lines needed for like emergencies or like emergency services. Like there was like telephone lines that were like one day apart from each other, of like where you can like if you need like help, right? Like you need like a day's travel in between, like either or.
Oh, like there were not enough, they're too far apart.
Yeah, so it was just like a huge concern of just like, no, we need to like figure out like where we can like have more telephone lines for like emergency, like people who are stranded or who need help, something like that. Oh man, I think.
Yeah, that reminds me, recently, like there was like a crazy blizzard on like Mount Everest, and they had to rescue like 1,000 people from there. And it's like,
God.
when you have people in nature, you have to plan for like the worst and how you're going to evacuate them. So it's like, yes, we want people to visit the park, but how do we maintain the park's natural beauty while also like making sure things are safe? So that must have been tough for them back then.
Oh yeah. Speaking of natural beauty as well, again, there was a number of documents that also just talking about how the park, the rangers, when they were going out, they noticed that, like, you know, the natural, like, daisy fields and things like that, they were getting trampled on. They were just slowly dying. They noticed that, like, fishing spots that were popular fishing spots, like, the fish population there was just, like, slowly going extinct.
Overfishing.
Oh, yeah. So, there were multiple documents talking about, like, no, we need to, like, close off certain areas. We need to make sure that, like, the natural beauty of the park is preserved. If not, then what's the point of even having the park open? There's a couple of photos that I actually found in the that I want to specifically highlight that that was shown to me in the big like document folder. This one here is just kind of like a site, like we can kind of see here that this is like a new station, right? This for like they were building a new station here, right? It's currently like empty, right? This was in and then here we have it a couple years later, like the same site, right? But they're just a new like construction. So it's just a bunch of just like safety improvements, and my favorite photo is actually this one here. So this is actually stairs, like a ladder, like a normal ladder, just like leaning onto rocks to go to like old Indian paintings at Hospital Nook, I think it was. And it's just, as you can see, it's just a rock. It's just a ladder leaning against rocks, like no safety rail, nothing. And so they kind of thankfully built actual like nice looking stairs, right?
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like, let's take the ladder away.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like just the general safety improvements that they did. It was just kind of like you don't, like, we as guests don't see this kind of thing happening, but like we notice it when like it's there, and we're just like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I think moving past like just kind of the park improvements for like preserving natural beauty, they kind of realized really quickly that like we are getting a lot of guests from like a lot of different places, not only in like the United States but like the world in general.
Wow.
In 1981, the park introduced something called culturograms. This was a very like big set of like documents that were sent out to employees, and just to kind of like they can go over like, hey, these are like common phrases, like common things that like people from like Britain or Japan or like France, right? Like this is like things that like they can like say. There's like so for example, like a common French greeting is like bonjour, right? Japanese greeting is like these, like that's actually like on the document itself, right? Like it's written out like bonjour, right? Like here, right? Okay, come in. So here, like we have just kind of like a document that's just kind of saying that like, oh, like they're from England, right? Like the history of government of England, like their economy, right? And over here we have like useful words and phrases. Like for example, an American, like we call it an information bureau. For England, they call it an inquiry office. Right,
wow.
With the pinky up, right? So it's just they had this for like, I counted, I think 8 different countries.
Wow, that's pretty progressive for the 80s.
Oh yeah. And it's just something that I like. These documents were like thick as well. They were like maybe like, I want to say this thick.
Wow.
Of just like information of like just different countries and like how you should act towards them, right? Like
cultural norms.
Oh yeah. Cool. Very much. And so that was probably one of my favorite things, just kind of like look through just like a bunch of different just documents that they had. Also in 1981, it was also known as the year of the International Year of Disabled Persons, as declared by like the UN General Assembly at that time. So the national park actually had launched a couple of different programs and like initiatives just to kind of like allow disabled people to like participate in the park. Examples of those would include like equipment for like the hearing impaired. Like if there was like a video that they would have, right, they would have braille, or someone who's like they're signing for them or something, right? Something to have them to be able to just like enjoy the park. Ramps and trails and benches were added for just like people like that were like mobilely impaired, like, you know, wheelchairs, or like they were in crutches or things like that.
And this was the 80s, right?
Oh yeah, the 80s.
Yeah, the American with Disabilities Act came out in the 70s, I believe. So it's definitely like timely, like they were catching up to all of the things that people were already implementing. So that's cool.
Oh yeah, especially they also implemented like accommodations for people that had like either autism or Downs, just so that way they can also just like enjoy the park. Like they had like simple television programs or shows just to kind of like display like the importance of the park. So, continuing. So, like, a couple of examples, or one example that I at least want to highlight of like having people who, for just having accommodations. There was a document that explained that the park was trying to hire someone who like just kind of like be more inclusive, right? They wanted to hire someone and they described it as someone with a profound sensory neurological hearing impairment in like both ears. It's like hearing loss in both ears, but like they had to make it like super fancy.
Interesting. And they wanted to hire someone with hearing loss?
Yeah, so that way they can be seen. It's like, no, we are also inclusive, right? Like we have someone here. I believe I didn't mention it in my work here, but I believe they just had him as like you know how like the Walmart greeters. They just had him as like a greeter.
They basically had like a token disabled guy.
Pretty much.
Oh my goodness. It's one of those things where it's like, they've got the spirit, but the execution
it's very much just like I get it. Wow, but I get it.
Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, they kind of like try to justify it by like showing that like having a disabled person can like be good experience for the staff in order for them to like hey, like this is how like I handle like my coworker, like I have somewhat experience handling like a guest. So
that's fascinating. To me, hindsight is 2020, right? I'm judging them from a 2025 lens, but it would make more sense to have like a disability coordinator, like a DEI coordinator. But again, we're judging them by 2025 standards.
Oh yeah, it's
It's a little rough.
Yeah,
But again, they got the spirit. They got the spirit.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, it was just kind of like I wish there was more of like something of this nature happening, but that was the only document that I found. But kind of just moving on about that. They also had like information packets that like how we have like the like standard now, like we have information packets just scattered around the park. Nice to know. Obviously, right, there was only in one language at the time, so they kind of realized we need different languages, right? We need like kind of like more packets set up like at different points of the trail. They also kind of like saw that the plaques that were also in one language, like people were just kind of like walking by them. Like they're just like, who cares, right? It's not in our language. Like, no, like we want you like to stop and like look at this tree. What is the significance of like this big tree here, like the General Sherman tree, right? So one of the things that they did was they not only improved how the signboards looked, they included different packets like throughout, just to be like, hey, this is the significance of this, or this is the significance of that over there. So just kind of like small things that they kind of did. Like with also like the roads in general, like they were resurfaced, repaved again for like people with like wheelchairs, just kind of like enjoy, like be able to like go out into like the different sections of parks that like were previously like just filled with like jagged rocks.
Wow. I love to hear like, and it's very true to the park's like spirit of like justice and inclusivity, again with like so many things in Libra, Sun, and Mercury. Yeah, for the park and the park staff to always want to figure out like how can we do this better, and then taking the baby steps to include as many people as possible.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately though, like just including all those people, right, there's obviously going to be like cases of where people are just going to be like rude or mean or just vandalize the park in general. There was a meeting, there's a document that I found, a meeting in like Washington DC in like 1948, like they were already having these kinds of problems, where they noticed that like their main concern was like the visitor impact on like a historical area. Not just like, this wasn't just focusing on parks, but like the parks were brought up, and it was an interesting point that I want to bring up, which is still a problem today, right? Like vandalism and like historical sites. They highlighted here that like there was incidents at like the Statue of Liberty, like people were just like tagging Statue of Liberty.
Wow.
People were like at the parks as well. They were just like either destroying or like being reckless with like the fires, right? Things like that. So they kind of wanted to highlight like, no, we need like a good like set of like planning of like, we need like rules. We need a way to like make sure like this just doesn't happen. We need to like figure this out. They highlighted how like, we know that some visitors never offend, right? They leave no mark on the land, but others are more thoughtless, and because of that, because of those people, like there need to be rules.
Yeah, one bad apple spoils the bunch. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
What's funny is so you sent me your notes ahead of time, and I looked up the date of this meeting in Washington, D.C., and there is actually a Jupiter-Uranus opposition. So Jupiter is in Sagittarius, and again, Jupiter is abundance, but it's an abundance of people traveling to this site. That's like Jupiter in Sagittarius is like in a abundance of nature or abundance of travel. And then when you have two planets in opposition, it's an external conflict. So then you have Uranus in Gemini, which is unexpected consequences of having so many people in an area. So you see this external conflict with the planets, and again in the like microclimate, or I guess because it was in Washington DC, just all the national parks were probably experiencing this, but this specifically applies to the Sequoia National Park. So I thought that was also interesting. There's like a birth chart and a transit chart for like anything, anywhere, anytime. So I love including like astrology in your research, because it's like it all ties in together.
No, I also love just kind of hearing about that, how like you said, it just kind of ties together. I'm just kind of like, that's cool, it's interesting. And then just kind of like going on of like just like people just kind of like being careless. There was another document here about in 1951, there were like the park ranger at the time was like noticing that like there are many people coming in with like their camper vans, things like that. But there's an issue of just like a lack of personnel to supervise like all the people that are coming in, and there's just a huge lack of maintenance. They expected at that time, again, 1951, they expected park visitors to increase from 800,000 to about 900,000 like a year. In again the 50s, right? So it's just, and they just didn't have like any of the facilities to accommodate like those type of people. Yeah, so there were no personnel just to kind of like fill in like the spots, and because of just like there was so much discourse in the government, which is kind of what we for our conference this is the kind of what we kind of tied in like my research with like everyone else's because like I said, mine is like super far out there that it's just like it's hard to kind of like what the hell came with like what's the common theme. And one of the themes that we came up with was government involvement, right? Because yes, the everything that was kind of talked about is like in like the federal like government level. Unfortunately for the parks, the big issue was the government just dragged their feet with like funding, and eventually Sequoia Kings Canyon personnel, like they were sending like passive aggressive letters to like the government, be like, "Hey, hurry up, please,
money, please."
Yep, pretty much. It's just so it was just like to show like, hey, we need money for maintenance, we need money for personnel, like please can you send us money? And the government was like, no. So it's just they're like, I found like whole folders of just material that's just like money to like letters to the government, and the government just spitting back like, no. It's just the whole folders like going correspondence going back and forth like, please no, please no, please. Like we like it's so it was just super interesting just to kind of again, like I said, super interesting just to read just like how much like BS, right, the government like gave parks, like even now again, right, like we like park funding is just getting like taken away super like just like that. And so it's we just don't have personnel just to again like now, right, we don't have personnel to like look after the park. So it's again, history's repeating itself. So it's just like
so tragic. I know, I hate to see it. It's like we've gone through this before and it just keeps happening.
Oh yeah. So I mean, just kind of like finish up, right, like just talking about how this different steps just to ensure like the park was like safe just for people just to kind of be in. They made sure that like, you know, the cables that were like we needed like new telephone lines, new poles and everything, made sure that like guests were included, like foreign guests that had like a way to interact with the park, disabled guests had a way to kind of enjoy the park as well, and they weren't just kind of left out like, no, you can't come, stay over there. So it's just very interesting just to kind of see like even as far back as like 1918 like 30s, right, just the steps that they took just to make sure that people enjoyed coming to the park and that the park had longevity, right, that the park didn't just die off from overuse. But yeah, that's kind of what my research entails.
Wow, wonderful. Yeah, it was so fascinating to see like all of these social themes come together and then see that the park needs to respond. And it's like, yeah, how do you balance all of these visitors and sustainability? And then we had all of these interesting like astrological themes going at the same time. And from the start with the grand air triangle that the national park was born under, like I think we're going to see history repeat itself with more innovation, more like inclusion. I mean, in this current climate, who knows? Maybe in a few years, but yeah, I mean, if it's been going like that since, you know, the early 1900s, I have confidence that the park will persevere.
Oh yeah. The park has definitely seen the stark days with the forest fires. I much like, you know, how trees like after the fire like it'll bud again. So I have good hopes, and make sure you prevent forest fires.
And that you're a responsible tourist. You don't vandalize things. You don't go off the path. You don't overfish. A lot of this is like humans being dumb and selfish.
Oh my god, yes. Oh my god. I think the ones that really just be like, stop, what are you doing? It was like people going up to like wild bison or like wild deer. Like stop. Do not go. Do not approach the animals. Like, please, like, stay safe, right? But most of all, especially in a national park, have fun. As long as it's safe, have fun.
You know what's funny? I still have not gone. I've gone to Yosemite. I know. I need to see the redwoods in person. Have you been?
No.
Were you born and raised here?
Yeah, I was born and raised here in Merced. It's actually kind of funny because for my research, I actually asked my professors, right? Hey, like, can I get funding to go to the parks? And they're like, yeah, probably. We just have to ask the department to get. So yeah, technically, as long as for research, I can go for free.
Yeah, perks. You should. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, speaking of professors, I really do need to give a shout out to our professors. I want to give a first shout out to the professor of my research class, Professor David Torres Roof. He's the one who kind of organized just the class in general, and again, he is our department head, so he's the history department head, and he's the one who kind of like drafted up the class, just both the research and this new class. So I mean, like, yay! Thank you, Professor. And then the professor for our conference is Professor Susan Amuson. She is a veteran at UC Merced. She is currently writing, both professors are actually writing books for years now. They always say like, oh, you know, we plan to write books and finish them in like, 2-3 years. It's been like 5-10. It's just like oops. And then I like to give one last shout out again to the wonderful staff at the UC Merced Library. They were the ones who not only organize all the more materials, they keep them nice, safe, and make sure that like they're uploaded to the internet just to kind of like preserve them, or for archival purposes. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy that we were able to help you with your capstone project.
Thank you.
And next year, I think we would be open to having another student if the professor is happy with this podcast. Yeah, we'll see. Keep us in mind. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy to support your furthering education, and you're so close to graduating. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this special experience exchange episode with Jose. I hope you have a wonderful day and that you go find nature somewhere. Bye.